Good evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, and this evening we're going to be focusing on the mega fallout of India Today's special investigation. For the last 1 week, we've been getting you all of those harrowing, distressing images from Bengaluru of the floods, of the rains wreaking havoc. We got down to the root of the issue and exposed the corruption for all to see. What's been done 24 hours later by the government? All the latest on the political fight that's broken out between the BJP and the Congress in Karnataka as Bengalurians suffer. We're going to be putting those questions putting it across to, in fact, political representatives of both parties. Let's begin with the headlines. Delhi Police's Economic Offences Wing grills actor Nora Fatehi in connection with 200 crore Sukesh Chandrashekhar con scandal. Nora is being questioned about the luxury cars and designer bags that she received as gifts. Waqf board swallows over 18 villages in Trichy. Villagers need nod of the board to sell their land. Administration takes note of India Today news break, says Waqf has to prove their ownership. Eight cheetahs are on their way from Namibia to India as we speak on a special plane. The cats will be released into Madhya Pradesh's Kuno National Park by the Prime Minister on his birthday on Saturday. Court orders Lokayukta probe on former Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa. Probe on Yediyurappa over bribes in a housing project. BSY allegedly received 12.5 crore rupees bribe from a construction firm. After street showdown, political war erupts in Bengal. BJP and TMC engage in a poster war inside the assembly. Shocker from Uttar Pradesh's Lakhimpur. 2 Dalit miners found hanging. Cops claim accused raped and murdered the miners. All 6 accused taken into custody. For days, the Silicon City, the IT hub of the nation, Bengaluru, was completely flooded. And India Today decided to dig deep to identify why this is a problem almost every single year. And what did our investigation expose? It exposed the bribe gate that's rampant. You've got netas cutting across political parties. The Municipal Govt Engineers, all of them are involved. We aired this expose yesterday. Since then, there's been a storm of reactions that have come in. We get you all the details in our report first.
Pounded and submerged. India Today's deep dive brings to the fore Bengaluru's commissioned Raj that drowned India's own Silicon Valley early September. Startling confessions of the city's civic contractors on India Today tape.
जो करप्शन का जो है ब्रेकअप क्या है?
तो काम लेने के लिए देना है।
कितना?
काम लेने के लिए 12 to 15.
12 to 15% है।
और बाद में फाइल सभी वर्क ऑर्डर लेने के लिए 2%। तो काम करके बिल लगाने के लिए एक आदमी को, एक इंजीनियर को 5, एक इंजीनियर यही
5%
यही का 5%, AEE का 3।
अच्छा, ओके।
और अगेन एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर को 2।
The IT hub's public infrastructure held to ransom by the Neta engineer contractor Nexus. Public works heavily compromised by bribes.
Oh, if he is coming for puja, then he has taken a commission.
And it's cleared. Puja means yes. All party members, all party, not for BJP, not for Congress, not for all parties. All parties
from the beginning it has come down.
An investigation that has stirred Karnataka's entire political establishment. The opposition Congress is on the offensive.
So what is the Prime Minister doing? What are the agencies doing? What is ED doing? What is Income Tax doing? What is CBI doing? Even judiciary has to intervene in all these cases. So it is a 40% commission government. Whatever we have been saying, it's not for opposition's sake. It is truth. Truth you have brought out. I congratulate you people.
The issue of Commission Raj that brought Bengaluru to its knees earlier this month set to resonate in the State Assembly.
A common man or a woman in Karnataka, if you ask them, they'll say this government is a 40% commission government. So they have earned this name and they are very proud to display that. So this commission Sarkar will be thrown out in coming days and we will take this up in the assembly now.
The ruling BJP, on the other hand, is blaming it on the previous Congress governments.
The corruption means Congress. Congress means corruption. Many scandals in the India and Karnataka. The Congress is the Pitamaha, is the father of all corruptions.
So the contract is that George is Congress?
They are agents of Congress people.
नेगेटिव नैरेटिव सेट करने के लिए बहुत समय से कांग्रेस कोशिश कर रहा है. वो लोग आज जो भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ बात कर रहा है, उनका जमाना में भ्रष्टाचारियों को मदद करने के लिए लोकायुक्त बंद किए थे.
India Today's investigation makes it hard for Karnataka's political class to brush the notorious Commission Raj under the carpet anymore. Power held to account for Bengaluru's mess. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's open this up. Aishwarya Mahadeva of the Congress is joining us on this broadcast. We also have Mr. Ashok Gowda of the BJP joining us this evening. I'd like to begin with you, Mr. Ashok Gowda. The BJP very famously said, "Na khaunga, na khane dunga." With this kind of a case coming to light in Karnataka, in your state, what has the BJP done, sir, in the last 24 hours to crack down on the corruption that we've exposed?
See, what is happening in Karnataka, there are two different issues. If it is stormwater drain, it's a different issue, and if it is a corruption issue, definitely there are, as you are showing, KT Manjunath, who has been speaking and who has been caught by your cameras, speaking on the corruption, he is clearly indicating that the Congress is the major shareholder in the entire corruption schemes. Whether when Siddaramaiah was CM, he has actually laid a strong foundation for corruption in BBMP because he held the portfolio, KG Jar, and then Parmeshwar held the portfolio of Bangalore development, and they actually ruined the entire Bangalore's development in many ways.
It can't be as easy as that, Mr. Gowda. It can't be as easy as passing the buck. If you're saying previous governments indulged in it, what is the current government doing to stop it? Because our sting operation has been conducted now, and it says very clearly that every party is involved.
Akshata ji, let me complete it. See, there may be people who might be involved in BJP also, could be at a local level, could be involved to an extent. That's a different issue. I'll come to that point also. The point number one is, see, my own grandfather was a chief engineer in BBMP during 1983 to 1991. He had given a clear-cut report how to develop a stormwater drains. The entire team of 11 members, they had given a clear-cut report, but it was thrown to dustbin by then Congress government, which has led to all these problems. So, in fact, one of my articles have clearly written that what had happened in 1991, including D.K. Shivakumar was a sitting minister. Both my grandfather and D.K. Shivakumar hail from the same place, same taluka. In spite of requesting D.K. Shivakumar, nothing was done. He was a jail minister, prisons minister during that time. So, in spite of all these things, we have tried to do lot of activities in clearing the stormwater drains. Meaning to say, from desilting, from raising the stormwater drain, Rajakalves, depth, and a lot of things have been done. The point is, the stormwater drain issue is different from corruption. See, corruption, when it comes to Siddaramaiah, 51 in Lokayukta, 51 cases are there. Whether it a redo, there are more than 30 plus redo cases on Siddaramaiah. Teacher scam, PSI scam,
No, wait. Let's focus on this particular issue, Mr. Ashok Gowda, and I'd like to bring in Aishwarya Mahadev on this as well. Aishwarya, you heard what the BJP is saying. They're saying that, look, this is corruption that was started off by the Congress Sarkar in Karnataka.
You know, if the BJP had to actually come out with a very successful publication, it would be called How to Be an Escapist and Abdicate Responsibility as a Public Representative. Long title, I know, but pretty much surmises everything every single BJP leader or spokesperson, anybody has done on air ever since your expose, and I really want to congratulate you. And I was on air when it actually happened, and even then, the same sort of blame everybody else but yourself was the standard modus operandi of the BJP. Akshita, let's break it down to very, very simple things. He's trying to call Mr. Siddaramaya's government corrupt. He's trying to say the Congress is the government of corruption. Mr. C.T. Ravi, very tried to tell us in Hindi himself that, you know, that the Congress is the bane and the root of all corruption. Okay, if I make that concession, tell me this. If you're a party with a difference, you're na khaunga, na khane dunga, why don't you do something about it? Why don't you investigate? Why don't you sit and take action? You're talking about Lokayukta cases. Sir, let's talk about the Lokayukta cases that happened against Mr. Yediyurappa. We can sit and look at a line of cases against the Bellary brothers. You can see a chief minister who had to step down because of the same issue. And today, Akshita, the BJP has no concrete either development in Bangalore. There's no concrete alleviation program except bulldozers, which obviously they quite have a fondness for, and even that you're looking at the disparity, and they have no concrete plan of fixing Bangalore, and they will keep blaming everybody but themselves. I'm waiting for them to blame Kempe Gowda, the founder of Bangalore, also, saying he didn't plan the Raj Kalve scientifically. It is shameful that the BJP today has no response, has taken no action, will take no action, and will dodge and deflect on the issue, because that is their modus operandi. Because if you allow an investigation...
At the end of the day, what Aishwarya Mahadev is saying, and Ashok Gowda, I'd like you to come in on this, is that Bengalurians are suffering because of this corruption. And we see it every single time it rains in the city of Bengaluru. We've given answers now to viewers, to Bengalurians, as to why it's happening. So they will demand accountability from the government. You may want to say that it's the previous government, etc., but you're in power currently, sir. And I'll come back to the question I asked because I didn't get an answer to that. What's been done in the last 24 hours? You admitted that there are maybe some few local BJP workers involved. What's been done on that front?
See, immediately once or any of the cases come to BJP's office bearers or the government, we are immediately taking action. Whether it was in PSA scam or any other scams.
So we've handed this to you in a platter. We've handed this to you with evidence, with everything, with people on camera saying that, look, there are people involved. This is the kind of commission involved.
As soon as anything which erupts in Bangalore, any of the corruption cases, BJP is the party which takes the front foot and does the investigation. Even in the 40% commission, they just alleged, when the central union team came to meet the alleged contractor who was alleging the 40% commission, he did not give any evidence. He ran off. In fact, he went and met Siddaramaiah. Who was Siddaramaiah for the contractor to go and meet? Contractors Association president going and meeting an opposition leader instead of coming and giving evidence to the team. He could have even filed a court case. He did not even do that. He himself is escaping from the investigation matters. That is point number one. Point number two. Agreed that India Today and Aaj Tak has done definitely a good work, and they have given us hello, yeah.
Go ahead.
They have given us a clear thing saying that where what is happening. Definitely government of Karnataka will immediately act. See, to avoid all these things only, Siddaramaiah ji had closed down the Lokayukta and opened an anti-corruption bureau. We have now come to the point that Lokayukta is the only investigation agency, and our Lokayukta officers are one of the most clear and clean-headed officers. Definitely, this case will be handed over to the appropriate agency, and the investigation will take place, and definitely the culprits will be put behind bars, including those people who are in opposition or in our own party also, if there is anybody who was involved.
Aishwarya Mahadev, the reality is that our sting operation has exposed very clearly that this isn't just a BJP problem. It cuts across political lines.
I think I made this very clear emphatically previously also, that if anybody on in my party also does come out and is seen culpable, then we'll be the first people to take action, because Mr. Ashok Gowda talks about whether at the forefront of stopping corruption. You know how many days it took for Mr. Ishwarappa to resign? Do you know how many days it took for Mr. Yediyurappa to step down as CM without creating and breaking the BJP unit in the state? Do you know how many days it took for you to have heads rolling of everybody but ministers in the PSI scam, in the PhD scam, in the assistant professor scam, in the gunny sack scam, in the cattle fodder scam here, where
But can the Congress afford to preach, Aishwarya? Look at Mr. D.K. Shivkumar. He is accused of graft. He's been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate.
Absolutely not. Akshata, today he's been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. Do you know how long it took for them to file even a charge sheet? They took more than years to file a charge sheet after they arrested a man. You look at the Panchnama, you look at what documents were revealed, you look at what sort of amount, for an amount of 25 odd lakhs, basically these institutions today are hounding all of them. Look at one thing, Mr. Ishwar Khandre very rightly pointed out. In all these cases, why is it that only leaders of the opposition are targeted, while other leaders of the government are cleaner than Ganga? And mind you, the Ganga situation is also quite sad, but these guys are whitewashed cleaner than a neta's kurta. And that is the problem today. BJP does not put its money where its mouth is. They are all false conviction, and they will sit and give you mission statements about the Lokayukta, how we bought the Anti-Corruption Bureau. Sir, you use Anti-Corruption Bureau too. The reality
is, Aishwarya Mahadev and Ashok Gowda, stay on with me, because as we speak about this particular investigation that we've done here on India Today, which exposes the corruption in Bengaluru, it's not new. It's not something that Bengalurians or people in Karnataka haven't heard about, because unfortunately political leaders in the state have faced this kind of taint very, very often. Look at what's happened with former Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa. A special court has now ordered a Lokayukta investigation against Yediyurappa in a housing project scam. The allegation is that he allegedly received 12.5 crore rupees as a bribe from a construction firm to release funds from departments and to speed up the fire clearance in various departments. I want to discuss that as well, because if we talk about corruption in Karnataka, it's unfortunate that some of the topmost, some of the biggest and influential leaders in the state are also reportedly involved in these kind of high-profile corruption cases. So what else can you expect but that it will hit you in your homes as well? That's how deep really the rot runs in the state of Karnataka. Speaking about Yediyurappa, as you know, we continue this political debate. I'd also like to bring in Mr. T.J. Abraham, an advocate who had filed this complaint against B.S. Yediyurappa. Mr. Abraham, if you can hear me, take us through exactly how you came across this particular case. What are the allegations currently that you're leveling against Yediyurappa? Because we understand it's not just the former Chief Minister, but several of his family members as well.
True. Now, I came across this case when the matter was brought to my notice by a friend of mine, Mr. Ugrappa. He gave me the details and he said, I think you're the right person to take it to the logical end. We had the prima facie, at the first look at the documents that were given to us, it was absolutely clear that there is a clear-cut case of corruption. Now, there were three parts in that. And let me clarify, I'm not an advocate, I'm an activist. One.
Okay, apologies for that. Go ahead.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. Now, there are three, it's a breakup of three parts of the allegation. One is 12 crores, which was demanded for this gentleman, this contractor who had on an estimate by the BDA for 567 crores, this fellow quotes 675 crores, 108 crores more than the estimate, the departmental estimate for that project, 108 crores. Now that order, after he gets it, he is made to stay there without allowing him to take off with the project. Why? You have not paid us the bribe. What is the bribe? 12 crores. Like your sting operation, I have a video recording wherein Mr. Yediyurappa's son has been discussing about this 12 crores, and that has been handed over to the investigating officers. The second part is 12.5 crores in bits and pieces, maybe in 5-6 parts, has been collected by Yediyurappa's grandson. Okay. This is for the same contractor to speed up the files of this gentleman using the office of the CM. Money has been received. Demand and receipt has been acknowledged through the documents that we have, the evidence that we have given. The third and the most crucial, I'm not getting into a political battle here. That's their forte. Now the third one is a very serious one. Now the two other issues, 12 crores and 12.5 crores, needs a little investigation. The police officers will have to go.
I want to, Mr. Abraham, based on all that you've told us, I want to bring in the BJP on this. Ashok Gowda, what do you have to say about this? Your topmost, most influential, senior-most leader is involved in yet another corruption case.
Mr. Abraham himself has acknowledged that it was case which was given by Ugrappa, who is a person from Congress. So what does this mean? This means clearly that Congress has added one more toolkit, saying that
Mr.
just to allege...
Mr. Ashok Gowda, don't be little.
I did not interfere when you were
I'll give you a chance, Mr. Abraham, to respond. Go ahead, Ashok Gowda.
So I am not blaming you. I am not blaming Abraham. I am just saying who is making use of whom. That's all. So Ugrappa is a Congress leader, is a senior Congress leader, and he has planted the whole thing, and Abraham is just a tool over it. And all the videos, if the clippings are there, and if he has evidence, strong evidences, he can go well and do a case against anybody. Let it be anybody. So, but instead of case, they want to make it as a news issue. Why do they want to make it as a news issue? Only because...
once again, make it a news issue because what? The court is ordered for an investigation, Mr. Gowda. What are we talking about making it a news issue?
We in the past also we have known TG Abraham. What kind of an activist he is? He's a serious activist. But in certain cases, he has compromised with the leaders of opposition. That is like basically with Congress. So in this case also, I'm sure if he is so serious, he can go to court and file a case instead of if he wants to trust a local, he can go do there also. But
again, let me highlight that is the court that's ordered an investigation here.
The ignorance of the BJP.
I'm going to let TJ Abraham respond. Mr. Abraham, go ahead.
It's very pitiable to hear a spokesperson of a BJP.
Mr. Ashok Gowda, hold on. Now let Mr. Abraham respond.
It's absolutely pitiable to listen to this gentleman who's supposed to be a spokesman of a national party saying, go to the court. Arey Baba, I've gone to the court. It was dismissed. Then from the trial court, I went to the High Court. I won it there. And I came back to the trial court, and the court has directed the Lokayukta to order an investigation, take up the investigation.
I can see Aishwarya Mahadev. Aishwarya Mahadev also wants to make a point. Aishwarya, I'm going to give you a chance.
One more point.
I'll come back to you.
Akshita, I think ignorance is not only dangerous, it's extremely embarrassing, especially when you're not even abreast with the fact that Mr. Yediyurappa himself has now been summoned by the court here. And for Mr. Ashok Gowda to not only insult a very senior activist, irrespective of who has spoken about the issue with him, but also almost speak on the lines of insulting the courts by saying this is motivated is extremely shameful, because you, sir, are in government. But Akshita, this only proves to you that the corruption in my state by the BJP has gotten so out of hand, so ridiculous that even the current dispensation cannot save him. We saw this from 2011 onwards, whether it was indictment in the mining scam, whether it was the fact of the massive denotification in and around Bangalore in favor of his family, or even the cases now for private construction to the tune of hundreds of crores. Mr. Yediyurappa may be the tallest figure for them, but he's also the fountainhead of all corruption for the BJP. Mr. Ashok Gowda, obviously quite pitiable and sad that he has to defend the indefensible. But let us hope today that the government takes some action. And mind you, they tried to block this investigation. They tried to
I have very little time. Mr. Abraham, I'm going to allow you to make a point so that I can allow also the BJP to respond very quickly.
Two small things. Mr. Ugrappa is a friend of mine as an advocate. Okay, whichever party, irrespective of party, I'm not worried. I have filed cases against S.M. Krishna, who is now washing powder Nirma and is in the BJP, against Pramod Madhuraj, who was a congressman. S.M. Krishna was a congressman. These people have been sanctified and taken into BJP. Now, the third point in this case, of course, I don't want to rebut the BJP spokesperson because he doesn't know the case. The third one is interesting. I dare the ED to touch this aspect. 5.5 crore, 1 lakh and 8,677 rupees. has flown in from
Let's
shell
see.
companies.
Let's see how the investigation goes forward. I want to give one final chance to Mr. Ashok Gowda to defend the BJP here. Mr. Gowda, through the entire 30 minutes, you've said that, look, other parties are involved in graft. We're cleaning up the act of previous governments. The reality is some of your top leaders also are involved in these serious corruption charges, sir. How long will the BJP pass the buck and say, we're not involved, this is others that work that we're cleaning up?
See, Akshata, what has happened in the past is over the 70 years, in Hindi, in Kannada I will say it, Kamalakandonge Lokvela Aladi, means that the person who has jaundice sees the entire world with the yellow eyes. That is what is Congress. Congress is basically a loot party. Maybe there is certain people who are cut parties in that, but we actually in BJP, we are doing the nation building work. In the nation building work, we are trying to add value to every part of the society.
So will you crack down then against B.S. Yediyurappa if he is found guilty, sir?
See, anybody...
The court has ordered an investigation. You said go to court, T.J. Abraham has done that.
Definitely, if T.J. Abraham has taken it to the High Court and then come back to the trial court to do the evidences, he is welcome.
I'll take your word. Will you, yes or no, action against Yediyurappa if he is found guilty?
It is a party's decision that anybody who has a culpable offences will definitely be punished. And in
I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it, and we'll see if it actually happens. Because right now, Yediyurappa faces a very serious investigation. I've completely run out of time. Aishwarya Mahadev, Ashok Gowda and T.J. Abraham, thank you very much for joining us here on 6 p.m. Prime. Big breaking news that's coming in this evening. Noora Fatehi is leaving now after 6 hours of questioning from the Economic Offences Wing of the Delhi Police. She's questioned for 6 hours. There you see her in that black hoodie getting into the car and going away. She was questioned for 6 hours. She's not been named so far as an accused in the case, but her statement is also crucial to the investigation in this particular case. The 200 crore Sukesh Chandrashekhar con scandal that's currently being investigated. She has reportedly also been questioned about the luxury cars, the designer bags that she was gifted by Sukesh Chandrashekhar for an event that she had attended in Chennai. There you see Noora Fatehi making her way out of the Economic Offences Wing, dressed in all black, covering her face up completely, and getting into that vehicle. We're going to be getting you all the inside details of what that questioning really threw up of Noora Fatehi. The Economic Offences Wing of the Delhi Police hoping to get more details of how really Sukesh managed to get in touch with these actors. And very crucial in that aspect is the questioning of one of his aides, Pinky Irani. Today too, Pinky Irani was questioned much like yesterday when she was confronted with Jacqueline Fernandez. Now what we're picking up is that she's been asked about her chats, about her conversations with Sukesh. Remember that Sukesh Chandrashekhar had actually approached Noora Fatehi for an event that was organized by his wife, Lena Maria Paul. Now after that event, she was given a number of luxury gifts. We're talking about cars, we're talking about designer bags. All of that she had received after the event. So she's been asked particularly about that. Arvind Ojha is joining us with more details on this. He's joining us live from the Economic Offences Wing in Delhi. क्या Arvind Noora को वापस बुलाएंगे questioning के लिए?
जी देखिए, अभी तो कोई फ्रेश संबंध तो नहीं किया है, लेकिन 6 घंटे की पूछताछ के बाद नूरा फतेही ईओडब्ल्यू इकोनॉमिक्स ऑफेंस विंग जो ये दिल्ली का ऑफिस है यहां से बाहर निकल गई हैं। 6 घंटे तक ग्रिल किया है ईओडब्ल्यू की टीम ने और उनसे लगातार ये सवाल पूछे गए हैं, सुकेश से आप कब मिली थी और क्या क्या आपको गिफ्ट मिले। देखिए, ईओडब्ल्यू की टीम मकोका के तहत इस पूरे मामले की जांच कर रही है। ये जानने की कोशिश कर रही है कि सुकेश चंद्रशेखर ने जो तिहाड़ जेल के ऑफिशियल थे उनके साथ मिलकर जो करोड़ों रुपए की कमाई की थी चीटिंग से, वो पैसा कहां गया। इस बात का तो खुलासा हो चुका है कि वो जैकलीन फर्नांडिस को उसने गिफ्ट दिया था, लेकिन नूरा फतेही को क्या क्या मिला था उसके बारे में उनको ग्रिल किया गया। साथ ही साथ जो पिंकी ईरानी जो एक बीच की कड़ी है जिसने सुकेश को मिलवाया, जैकलीन को मिलवाया था सुकेश से और नूरा फतेही को सुकेश से, तो उनसे भी पूछताछ हुई है और दोनों को सामने बिठाकर ग्रिल भी किया गया है। तो ये अपने आप में काफी अहम है कि नूरा फतेही से ये सेकंड राउंड की पूछताछ ईओडब्ल्यू ने करी है आज 6 घंटे की। कुछ दिन पहले भी 6 घंटे की पूछताछ हुई थी नूरा फतेही से, लेकिन जैकलीन फर्नांडिस के इंटरोगेशन के ठीक एक दिन बाद नूरा फतेही से पूछताछ करना ईओडब्ल्यू का, यानी ईओडब्ल्यू को कुछ न कुछ क्रूशियल एविडेंस जरूर हाथ लगे, इस वजह से नूरा फतेही से इंटरोगेशन की है ईओडब्ल्यू की टीम ने।
Okay, Arvind, thank you for getting us all of those details. So far, no fresh summons for Noura Fatehi. 6 hours that she's been questioned there at the economic offences wing of the Delhi police. We're, of course, going to be getting you all the takeaways of that interrogation. Thanks, Arvind, for the moment.
Countdown to the mega SCO Summit. Any moment now, Prime Minister Modi to take off from Delhi. Grand welcome awaits Prime Minister Modi in Uzbekistan. Putin, Xi and other world leaders descend. Modi-Xi handshake suspense peaks. India Today reports from Ground Zero. We are here at Samarkand University, where this cultural street has been put up with 8 member states showcasing what's the most important part of their culture and the country's being in itself. Interestingly, India and Pakistan have been put together side by side. SCO Summit countdown.
Any moment now, Prime Minister Modi will be taking off from Delhi for Uzbekistan. That's where the SCO Summit is happening. It's the first in-person Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting since 2019. Prime Minister Modi will make a 24-hour visit to Samarkand in Uzbekistan to attend the SCO Summit, as well as hold bilateral talks with the presidents of Russia, Iran and Uzbekistan. Of course, everyone's going to be watching out for that interaction with Russian President Putin. Chinese President Xi Jinping has already arrived for the SCO Summit, is expected to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin, a very, very talked about meet, that one too. Before leaving for the summit, Prime Minister Modi said he looks forward to exchanging views on topical, regional and international issues and on further deepening multifaceted and mutually beneficial cooperation. Of course, all eyes will be on whether Prime Minister Modi will have a bilateral meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping after the Chinese troops pulled back from the contentious PP-15, Petrol Point 15 at Gogra and Hot Springs. The leaders will be face-to-face many times in the next year and a half, but there's a big question mark on whether the bilateral will be happening.
Besides his bilateral with the host country, chair of the SCO Summit, Uzbekistan's Prime Minister will have other bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit, and we would keep you apprised as along the way when the Prime Minister's schedule of these bilateral meetings unfolds as we go along. At this stage, that is all I can share with you.
All right, let me also introduce now on this broadcast Geeta Mohan, who's joining us live from Samarkand, which is where, of course, the SCO Summit will kick off tomorrow. Gaurav Sawant, our managing editor, is also live with us. I also have Shivarur with us here in the studios. And Shiv, I'd like to take it away to you first, because at this point, all talk and the endless speculation is about whether there's going to be that big Modi-Xi handshake.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the main question right now. The Prime Minister Modi will be leaving in just a few minutes from now for Samarkand in Uzbekistan. The question that's on everybody's mind right at the top, of course, is will Prime Minister Modi and President Xi interact one-on-one beyond the photo op? It's not on the schedule, it's not expected to be there, but you never know what happens at these summits. Could there be a one-on-one between the two leaders? Will India and China discuss the very important Depsang and Demchok issues going forward? It won't happen at this summit, obviously, because there's no scope for it, but will this summit trigger that conversation, since the disengagement has already happened from Gogra and Hot Springs? Number 3, will the SCO generate the next date for a big Modi-Xi summit? They haven't met in person since the standoff began in 2020. This will be the first time that happens. Could there be some buzz over that next big anticipated Modi-Xi summit? Will India's stand force a de-induction of PLA forces? Will that conversation veer towards that on the back of this summit? And finally, have the Indian Army's hybrid operations all across the friction points in Ladakh forced some kind of a Chinese rethink? Has the disengagement, Akshita, from Patrol Point 15 really set the stage for a new direction that this standoff could head in? Not on the table as far as the SCO Summit is concerned, but could there be some new direction with these two leaders sharing a frame for the first time physically since the standoff began.
And this will be the beginning of many more such events where Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping will come face to face. Thanks for that, Shiv. Geeta Mohan and Gaurav Sawant are also with us. Before I take it across to them, I'd like to play out some of the exclusive ground reports that Geeta has been filing for us in the last many hours from Samarkand in Uzbekistan, where Prime Minister Modi will be landing tonight. We are here at Samarkand University, where this cultural street has been put up with 8 member states showcasing what's the most important part of their culture and the country's being in itself. We have a lot of people from Uzbekistan, students who have come over here as part of the Indian contingent. You see them wearing Indian attire, all of them from Uzbekistan. On the other side of this entire stretch, if you see, is the Chinese pavilion. But over here, we have the Indian pavilion as also the Pakistani. Interestingly, India and Pakistan have been put together side by side, and the gate almost seems like we have the Wagah border happening right here in Samarkand in Uzbekistan. But the atmosphere is rather cordial. There is no animosity, no sort of friction that you'd see between the people of India and Pakistan, whether they're nationals of India and Pakistan or whether they're Uzbeki nationals being a part of the culture there or here. The security preparation in place over here in Samarkand. All the streets have cops to ensure that that the people who are out in the streets are those who have permissions. Most of the people outside of Samarkand are not being allowed inside, and those who are inside also for the 2 important crucial summit days will not be allowed to really move around the city. So fortress of sorts. Number plates of VIPs have been tagged with SCO followed by a number. So very important over here. But the security structure preparedness also, given the Russia-Ukraine war, tensions in the Taiwan Strait, Chinese president coming to Uzbekistan and leaving China for the first time after the COVID-19 outbreak, and Russian president going to be here are the reasons why there's heightened security in Uzbekistan. In Samarkand, Geeta Mohan for India Today. We are here at Timur Lane's mausoleum. It is one of the most significant architectural sites here in Samarkand and has a huge connect with India given the Mughal dynasty, the dynasty that comes from Timur Lane's lineage. I'm being joined by Victoria, who will tell us exactly what this entire mausoleum is all about in terms of the architecture, when it was built, the dynasty, so on and so forth. Victoria, but this basically was a learning center, was meant to be a learning center, and then was turned into a mausoleum for the family. There is a lot of controversy in India when it comes to Timur Lane and also the dynasty, given the Mughals who came, conquered India and ruled over India for a very, very long time. But the history over here speaks volumes of the architecture that you see in India as well, the Mughal architecture. Now we see that they were very advanced when it comes to the sewage system, the storm drains, and you see all of that over here as well.
Yes, definitely. It was made at the very beginning, quite far long ago, and this sewage system was made at the very beginning in Bukhara. And because Bukhara is located on the flat surface and the drain stagnant water was staying in the courtyards, that's why they decided to make a slope, and water was collected into the cups under this small, beautiful, well-decorated drain system, and the water came out through the pipes out of the houses. And all these beautiful mausoleums, buildings, madrasas, what you can see here, all of them, they were built by many masters which Timur brought from different countries, from Iran, from Caucasus, from India, definitely from India, also from Iraq, from Afghanistan. That's why we can see the mixture of traditions here.
Right. All right, let's bring in Geeta Mohan, who's reporting live from Samarkand, and Gaurav Sawant, who are joining us on this broadcast. Gaurav, obviously endless buzz is over whether Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping will have a bilateral at the SCO Summit. What are you hearing? Is there a likelihood of that actually happening?
So far, what we've been told is that there is one bilateral, and that is with Uzbekistan. There may be one with Russia, is what we know or what we are being told. But apart from that, they're saying, let's play it by the ear. Let's see what happens. But SCO, as Geeta will tell us better, is more about multilateral engagement and culture, trade, tourism. These are some of the important issues that will be discussed. But the fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going for the summit is an indicator that somewhere down the line, India insisting, unless the situation is moving towards normalcy, towards peace and tranquility at the line of actual control, there cannot be engagement between India and China. And that is why China, after saying it will not disengage, at least from PP15, because this is one very crucial point as far as China is concerned, it fears that India could have access to 3 different routes into Aksai Chin should India be in that area. China relented, it has disengaged, it hasn't yet either de-escalated or, de-inducted from this area. So, there is this cold peace, no war, no peace at the LAC, but at least chances of friction have been reduced.
Geeta, you're reporting from Samarkand, historic town, culturally very, very rich, and truly fitting that the SCO Summit is happening there. As Gaurav pointed out, there are many, many takeaways from this summit, besides also the India-China bilateral, if that doesn't happen. Take us through some of those. What to you are the takeaways for India from the summit?
Well, for India, the most important part of SCO, given that the focus is the centrality of SCO is Central Asia, Akshita, is the reason why Afghanistan is going to be crucial. Iran is good. The initiation of Iran as full member begins here in Samarkand and will conclude in India when India becomes president of SCO and hosts SCO Summit in India in 2023. So that certainly will kicks off a very important aspect for India, the investments in Chabahar, connectivity of India via Chabahar into Afghanistan and the whole of Central Asia. That aspect is certainly something that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be emphasizing on and speaking of. But yes, like Gaurav said, SCO architecture is primarily to do with cooperation, economic trade, etc., but also security. There is an entire aspect, an entire format called the Regional Anti-Terrorism Structure that discusses terrorism. Now, with India-Pakistan on the table, there certainly when we don't see eye to eye, there certainly are differences. But SCO largely has remained away from the bilateral frictions, and that you can see with the kind of conversations that take place within the SCO. The focus over here will also be the bilateral meetings and pull asides, like we've been discussing. The disengagement at least gives room for Chinese and Indian leadership to maybe acknowledge each other, but certainly no confirmation on any bilateral or even a pull aside or informal conversation, but that could take place. But India will only put forth its viewpoint, like Gaurav said, de-induction, de-escalation, paramount. Chinese side might raise concerns with regards to restrictions imposed on Chinese apps and Chinese telecom companies. Apart from that, the other very important bilateral we should be looking at is India-Iran, again, because of Chabahar and Afghanistan. That bilateral is going to be very important, and a bilateral with Uzbek president, given that he is hosting the summit. So these are very important, but the larger perspective, Russia-China bilateral just concluded, Akshita, yes. And the minutes of that meeting are very, very crucial, not just for India or the region, but also for America and the West.
Geeta, just a quick update for our viewers. Prime Minister Modi is now left for the SCO Summit from Delhi, so he's expected to touch down where you are in Samarkand in just a few hours from now. To what we're hearing is going to be a grand welcome for Prime Minister, also from the Indian diaspora there in Uzbekistan. So that's just a quick update for our viewers that the Prime Minister has left from the national capital, with a statement also that he's put out of what he intends to achieve, Gaurav, at the SCO Summit as well. While there's a lot of talk, about India and China, about the meeting that perhaps could happen between Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping, what do you make of the bilateral that's happened, as Geeta told us, between Russia and China? What does that mean for India?
So that again is a very critical bilateral, especially in the wake of what's happening not just in Ukraine but also vis-a-vis Taiwan. And this is where India will have a very crucial voice, because even if other countries do try and speak in one voice, perhaps take an anti-West view, considering you have Iran, Russia and China at this table, you will have India that will be the voice of reason in this area. And India has made this very clear on more occasions than one. Any dispute has to be addressed through dialogue and not violation of territorial integrity of any country. That's equally true of Russia's actions in Ukraine, what Russia continues to call its special operations, as it is of Chinese actions along the line of actual control and Chinese bullying tactics when it comes to Taiwan. Taiwan's responded very strongly to Chinese bullying tactics. India's responded in kind as far as the situation along the line of actual control is concerned, forcing China to disengage from PP-15, even though that may be a tactical pullback as far as China is concerned. But the fact remains, if China has about 50,000 troops deployed, India has an equally large number of troops deployed in that area, and China did not either initially think that India will be able to withstand Chinese pressure tactics or score one on China by doing a QPQ operation, forcing China to pull back from either bank of Pangong. So initially, then one more round of negotiation and disengagement, and after 16 rounds of negotiations, finally relenting and disengaging from Patrol Point 15, though Demchok and Depsang remain an issue of grave concern.
Let me also bring in Geeta on this. Geeta, very often, the SCO Summit is deemed as a bloc that also sends out, at least many countries part of the bloc, send out a very clear message to the West, an anti-West message. So the fact that India is on the same platform with these countries, how is India doing the kind of a balancing act where, we don't rub off our Western allies also in the wrong way when you're on the same platform, and perhaps some countries won't shy away from sending across a very clear message to the likes of the United States. I'm talking about the likes of Russia and China.
Well, your voice was breaking a little, Akshita, but I could get a sense of your question. Yes. Many believe that this is an anti-West forum, but an expert I was speaking to very nicely put it in perspective. He said that yes, Russia, China, Iran are part of the SCO. Iranian president is here, and very soon Iran will also be a full member. But we also have India, and the dialogue partners that are going to be included this time around include 4 Arab nations, which include Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is a strategic partner of America and very critical when it comes to the Western security architecture. And certainly is an indispensable force when it comes to the West Asian region, the Middle East. And they're also part of the SCO. Turkey wants to become a member and has expressed intent. So we have and is a part of the of NATO. So you're looking at countries that are actually looking to other groupings as well. It's not just India. India is one of the newest members along with Pakistan. But we also looked at SCO because the other blocs that are Western-led are not the only ones that India should focus on. Russia is a critical country, is a critical partner of India. China, being a part of the SCO, controls and could have controlled a lot of Central Asia. But now India also stands a chance to get a foothold in Central Asia, a very important region, and so do the West Asian countries. So Middle East also are looking at the SCO. The West might keep naming it whatever they want to. The fact is that many countries are looking at Shanghai Cooperation Organization as a grouping that they should be a part of for the connectivity projects, trade and economic cooperation that the SCO is planning on doing.
Everyone's focusing on India, China, Gaurav, and the handshake between Modi and Xi. One more meeting that everyone will be watching out for is a meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, and that handshake. All right, I don't think Gaurav is with us. Geeta, that question to you about the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and the Pakistan Prime Minister.
Well, absolutely. You know, the fact that Prime Minister Modi has just left India and could miss the informal dinner tonight is one gathering that he's done away with, because it would have been another room where he would be faced with Chinese president and the Pakistani Prime Minister. His schedule is packed, but it is also very short. He comes tonight and he leaves tomorrow late evening. And in that, it's the SCO format where they will be faced with each other. They will come face to face in one room. So will Pakistan Prime Minister and Prime Minister Narendra Modi really shake hands or talk? We do not really know, given that nothing has really moved forward on many fronts, particularly on terrorism. But Akshita, one thing is very certain, that if they actually come to a point where they have to shake hands because they're standing in front of each other, Prime Minister Narendra Modi most probably will talk about the flood-affected Pakistan and how Pakistan has been dealing with the worst kind of floods, extend assistance if they really want, and also express condolences for the loss of life. So that could very well be the conversation. We do know that it was the Imran Khan administration that was absolutely hawkish and anti-India. The Sharif administration beat Nawaz Sharif, who Prime Minister Narendra Modi not only met, but also went to wish on his birthday to Rawalpindi, to his hometown in Pakistan. And this is the younger Sharif brother. So we do not really know whether if the dynamics are going to change, but certainly not the two leaders that India is very enthusiastic about meeting, talking at this point in time.
So it's a very, very, brief visit, as Geeta told us. 24 hours that the Prime Minister is going to be there in Samarkand, in Uzbekistan, after which he'll come back. We're just waiting also for the images that we're expecting any moment now of Prime Minister Modi taking off from the national capital. But he's also put out a statement about what he intends to achieve at the SCO Summit, Geeta. If you look at, the economic takeaways of the SCO Summit for India, can you give us more about that? What will India look to achieve from this particular block meeting?
Right. The things that India is focusing on and is looking at achieving are going to be primarily on connectivity, trade and economic cooperation. They're going to be very important aspects of the conversation that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to have over here at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. There are key takeaways when it comes to the outcome document. There's a whole package that the SCO member states are looking at. You see, Akshita, the summit only happens for leaders to meet, shake hands, and have conversations, the things that they want to put forth. But the outcome document are already almost prepared, because the diplomats of all countries come together to decide what should be in that document and what shouldn't. And in doing so, the emphasis is certainly going to be on how to enhance connectivity that will lead to more trade. Why do I say that? Because owing to the Russia-Ukraine war, the world has suffered a massive amount of food and energy security.